Here he is, Andy Edwards, alongside in the studio. Great to see you. Great to meet you properly. I've seen you on the racecourse a good bit when L'Homme Presse has been running, but good to meet you in person finally. And I feel like the emotional interview you did recently got everyone to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, hopefully. Obviously, it wasn't intentional, and but that's me. That's wear my heart on my sleeve, and never been frightened to show my emotions. Always been my proudest achievement is that I have the ability to cry when I want to and when I need to. And there was a lot of 13 months of a lot of emotions, and it all came out. And I wasn't the only one crying. That's what the camera didn't show outside of the winners' enclosure. Was a lot of other people crying as well. So yeah, it was a big moment.
There is something about a horse race and a horse that you know and love winning. And for anyone that's experienced it, I don't know what it's like when you win at other sports. Maybe it's the same feeling. I don't know. But there is something about that moment when your horse and I know how much love you have for your horses. When they cross the line, it's and not just come back safe, but when they've won and they've done you proud, it is a huge release of emotion.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just about winning. It's all the build-up to them being the best they can be. I think that's where I get the emotion from, is everything that everybody's done to get them to that point. And they may have come 5th or 6th, but it was a personal best for them. So that is winning in itself, and that's where the emotion comes from. And with me, I've had the horses from a young age, from a long time. You know, I bought L'Homme Presse with an injury and other horses in a similar fashion.
What made you do that?
Nothing made me do it. I was looking specifically for a horse. This came up, Felix de Giles, through Robert Walford, contacted us, and just immediately, as soon as I saw the horse, it was a yes. And,
so you saw the horse in the flesh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at that point, were you living in France when you bought the horse? Or?
Yes, I was living in France, down in southwest France. I jumped on the fast train up to Paris and got out to Normandy and went to this very lonely yard. It was a big yard, and he was the only horse in the yard. And there was one girl looking after him, and he hadn't been out the box for 2 months.
Because of the injury?
Because of his leg injury. And she was a tiny little French girl. She was lovely. And I said, "Can you get him out for me?" And she went, no. And she was literally hanging off him. It was quite funny. But, yeah, made a connection immediately. And it was like, right, let's get him on the box and get him home.
It's quite a risk. But it's paid off.
Yeah, someone asked me, and I don't know if you're going to... It's one of your questions, but someone asked me, you know, was he expensive? Trying to find out how much I paid for him. And I said, well, at the time, everyone thought I was mad. And he was ridiculously expensive at the time, given that he'd had a leg injury.
What did you pay for him?
No chance.
Damn.
So... yeah, he was ridiculously expensive at the time. Now, he was ridiculously cheap. And that's all I can need to tell you, because, you know, we all take risks in life, or some more than others. And
but what was it? Was it the horse, or was it, you know, the people that were advising you about the horse, or was it just that moment that you met him?
The moment. I saw the videos of Fontainebleau, and I liked what I saw. And then when I saw him in the yard, I just thought, how did they even get this 4-year-old to the racecourse? He was a big, gangly frame. And I thought, if he can do that, what he's already achieved, nothing spectacular, I felt that he could be quite good. And if I gave him the time and the care, that to be the best that he can be, this could be something very special. On the other side of it, there was a very immediate connection that he was supposed to be with me, which a lot of people might find weird, but a lot of people who know me know exactly what I mean by that.
Which is big for you, having
It's
that.
everything.
It's an emotional connection with the horse.
Yeah, it is an emotional connection. I was talking to Dane earlier before he came on air about the importance of the mental and emotional aspect with horses and with any athlete, you know, with him, and whether it's a footballer or a rugby player, that emotional connection between another being helps them so much in their life, but also helps me or us.
So horses have, I mean, it sounds like then horses have been a big, not just a big part of your life, but a huge help to you over your life.
Yeah, I mean, my mum and dad had horses with Philip Mitchell at Epsom in the 80s. And, you know, so I was always around race horses, but we never had horses at home, anything like that. I rode as a child. My mate at primary school, his mum and dad had a farm. We used to mess around on the horses after school, but nothing formal or did anything like that. But I've always been very comfortable around animals, dogs and any sort of animals. And it's developed over the years, that bond and that connection through animals. And when you finally get that bond and connection, it's really quite amazing.
So I'm sure you're listening earlier when we were talking about the Coolwell construction situation and the Browns and their young family, and they're stepping away from the sport for the pain of losing horses and with their young family. I mean, you might have been lucky with some horses, or you got some good horses, but you've had a run of seriously bad luck. How have you sort of kept faith in the game? Why didn't you go, I have such a connection with my horses, I love them so much, I can't do this?
For 20 odd years, I've always said to people, keep the faith. Everything that's happened in life, I've always said, keep the faith. And when it's happened recently on November the 13th, just before Christmas, I lost 3 in the same day, 1 fatally and 2 career-ending injuries. And it was really hard to pick myself up off the floor. And one of the things was, well, I've got to take my own medicine. You know, I keep telling everyone else to keep the faith. I need to keep it myself. But when I saw in the papers about the Caldwell thing this week, I immediately got it, because I lost my first homebred on November the 13th, and I had to make the decision to not keep her alive. It was the right thing to do. I hadn't done the wrong thing, and everyone that was there and helping, you know, it had to be done. But I howled like a banshee for an hour. It really, really hurts. So they've lost 2 in a fortnight, I believe, and 1 just before Christmas. And it can really get to you. And the week afterwards, I had to stop myself from going, I can't do this anymore. Even though I had L'Homme Presse in the background, it was really difficult emotionally.
I mean, it's nice to hear, because ultimately, I think in this sport, you know, one thing we want these owners to love their animals. Even describing you as an owner, you own these horses. That actually all of a sudden doesn't sit right with me. I don't know. No.
David Yates chatted with me a year ago and has recently done a piece with me. And I've always said I'm a privileged guardian. I don't see how you can own another being. I have 3 dogs, but I don't own them. I look after them, but it just doesn't sit with me that you can own another being. You know, owning something is a materialistic thing.
But there's a line, right? There is, you know, there is a fundamental line in horse racing which says, you know, these these horses are bred to race, and there is risk involved with that, and we know that, and we accept that. And therefore, we have to be comfortable as owners, as guardians, as you say, with whatever fate does before that horse. And so I guess you've never lost that as uncomfortable and difficult as as these times you talk of, November the 13th, etc., that you found it. You are forever aware of the fact that if you're in the sport, you are going to be faced with those scenarios.
Yeah, the first horse I lost fatally was, she fell at the last at Vichy about 3 years ago, and or 3.5 years ago, I can't remember exactly. And she was a young horse, 3 years old, and I found that really, really difficult. And it changed me in a way for the better, I hope. But the one thing that upset me was the thought that, did I give her the best possible life that I could have done? And I felt that I didn't, and that really hurt me. I'm getting a bit upset now. It really hurt me because, it's not just about training and racing. Did she have the freedom in her life? Did she have the equality of mental and emotional respect? Yes, she had all of that from me, but she was at a yard where there was no turnout. So the minute that happened, my golden rule came: if you can't turn the horses out after work so that they have freedom every day to make their own choices, then you can't have a horse from me. And now, the one I lost on November the 13th, as much as it hurts, I know the life I gave that horse, and I did the best. And she wasn't racing, it was a freak accident in the yard. But I know I did the best for that horse, and for the life she led, she had a wonderful life. And then I can accept it. I don't like it, but I can accept it.
Was she your first homebred?
Yeah. It was, when I started, with the passion of racing sort of 40 years ago, it was like, one day I'm going to have a racehorse. I'm going to work hard, and one day I'm going to have a racehorse. And then as that dream started to materialise, I thought, one day I'm going to breed from my own brood mare, and I'm going to race my own homebred. And she was the first one that I was keeping to do that with. She was just turning 3, going really well, just started in pre-training, and And I called her Faith, that's her name. So it was really hard.
Keep
is.
the faith.
Keep the faith. Her racing name was La Belle Foi, the beautiful faith in French, and everyone called her Faith. So I found that hard.
I like the idea that you sort of introduced this to me, something I've never considered. Of in racing, jockeys can always improve, and trainers can improve, and horses improve, and we hope they do. But I never really think of owners improving as owners. Owners pay the bills and might make the odd decision, but I like the idea that as you're saying, you can improve as an owner for the care that you afford the horse.
Yeah, I think we all can. I think one of the things, I hope that most people get up in the mornings and want to be better than they were yesterday as a human being, or in some way or other. And I don't mean materialistically, and it's something that I've always tried to achieve. Tomorrow I definitely want to be better than I am today. And I think we can all improve in those areas. And we want the horses to improve, especially in the racing world. And everyone has a part to play. And for me, a lot of trainers might I'm in yards every day, all week, somewhere, and I'm sure trainers are dreading the thought of all the owners turning up to do it. But, using what time you have to bond with the horse will help that horse mentally and emotionally so much, and you will get so much more out of it as well. You're not there just paying bills and to go and have a nice day out. You know, have a purpose about this. This is my opinion, my feelings. You know, be involved and experience the joy of actually being with your horse, because it's immense.
Is L'Homme Presse is as far as I think the public are concerned, you know, going to be your favourite horse because of the journey he's taking you on? But I'm obviously now realising that that's not going to be the case because of the affection you have for all of them. But he still has to be earmarked as something quite special because of where he's taken you and what he's achieved. Yeah,
I mean, of course he's special. I mean, to me, you know, you've got 2 children. You haven't got a favourite. You can't say you have anyway. But, you know, they're all equal to me. But where he's like the flag bearer for all of us in my family of horses and friends and everything else that goes with it. And he is very special.
What's he like?
A gentleman. We called him Gent. That moment I met him in the yard and I walked up to him, he put his head in my chest. He was kicking the door a bit because he wanted to get out, but I see him on the TV screen there. But I'd said, I'm going to call you Gent straight away. He's an absolute gentleman. He's so laid back in his box. You know, before and after.
Was that Wet Wednesday? It was, wasn't it?
That was Wet Wednesday, yeah. Look at him, still is pricked. He's just magnificent. You should have had the cameras on me then, because I really cried that day. I fell in a heap in the owner's little thing in the stand, and there's no roof there, and it was pouring down with rain. And yeah, there's Peter and Pam. Yeah, wonderful moment.
I mean, how do you feel about going back there this year? Are you able to get a sort of? Do you feel you have a realistic grasp of his chances, or do you not sort of think about it like that? Is it just a case of go there, do your best, and I'm happy?
Listen, up until last Sunday, it was just about Lingfield. Yeah. Everything was about Lingfield. I was trying to calm everyone down around me and say, you know, stop talking about Cheltenham, because, you know, we want Ascot after Lingfield as well. But obviously there's a big thing about it. What he did, you know, I am very realistic, and what he did at Lingfield was amazing from our point of view, considering what has gone on for 13 months. Was it good enough to go and win a Gold Cup? No, I don't think it was, but it was an amazing comeback.
Do you think he can get back to, without the setback? You know, he might have gone here. Do you think now he will only ever get to here, or can he get back to achieve that full potential?
No, he will achieve what he was going to be. Yeah, and because we've taken the time with him, I don't have any qualms about that he will achieve whatever that level is that he was going to achieve. I believe he will achieve it now. You know, he was very rusty on Sunday, and I said to a lot of people before the race, if he runs to 5 pounds below his form at Newcastle, that would be very, very good, considering what's happened. And I think most of the pundits have got him running about 5 or 6 pounds short of that race. And obviously 2 miles 6 is on the short side of him, especially at Lingfield. You know, they come flying down that hill. It's a very quick last part of the race. So yeah, we were thrilled, and you know, hopefully with that confidence, that emotional and mental confidence I keep going on about, and will always go on about, that's the bit that will bring him on a lot.
But it's not something we talk about a huge amount. I think we often say, you know, that win will give the horse a huge amount of confidence, or getting his or her head back in front will give them confidence. I say it and never really, I never really know the truth of what that phrase means, because I guess that, you know, fundamentally my perception of running racehorses is, you know, get them as fit as you can, make sure the conditions are going to suit them best, and, you know, it's under the bonnet that does all the job. The mind, you know, as far as being straightforward, I guess, is key. But I can't get a full grasp on confidence in a racehorse.
Well, it's not just confidence, it's assurance within themselves, it's belief. Whether it's your job, or whatever we do in life, our work, our relationships, the more assurance, the more reassurance that there is in our lives, the more confident we are about our daily routines and about achieving what we want to achieve. And the mental and emotional capacity of a horse is enormous, and I feel it's very untapped. And, you know, no one would deny sports psychology as a really important part for top athletes, whether it's footballers, rugby players, tennis players, golfers. You know, they've all got sports psychologists to work on their mental approach and to work on their emotional balances and well-being. You know, it's not just basic welfare of clean bedding, good grooming, you know, the best, facilities. It's about mental and emotional support, and 90% of it is reassurance that you're doing all right. It's going to be all right, and keep going. Let's keep trying to improve on what we're trying to achieve. Now, we all believe that as adults in sport, and the difficulty with horses is we can't use human words to communicate that or get it back.
So what can you do?
You can listen, and you can promote your emotional senses and reassurance by emotion. Now, I say it's slightly off track, but I said it to someone in the yard this week. You know, if you're a couple are truly in love with each other and have a bond, a real bond, you don't always have to speak to get your message, your feelings across of reassurance. You know, it's a hand on the shoulder, it's a touch, it's a look. There's many ways to communicate, and that's what I try and do with all of the horses, and that's what I believe.
So it sounds like you're going to have to, you know, the trainers you work with, you want them to be relatively aligned, right? Or well, I get, yeah. Well, maybe owners are always, you know, fussy about who they go to. But it sounds like or with Venetia in this instance, you know, you've found the right person for the horse. Yeah,
I think, yes, is the basic answer. Each horse, each child is different. And I use a human comparison with the children. And like yourself, we were talking earlier, you know, you're going to be looking for the best preschool, best primary school, best secondary school, best college or university, depending on their aptitude. And parents will understand this. You go, well, is more arts than science, or is more sporty, or she, or whatever. That school won't suit, but this one will. We all do that with our children, and I like to think that that's what, if you get to know your horse, you know where they need to go to get the best possible education, upbringing, that they can then go and be the best that they can be. So, yeah, with him in particular, Venetia, you know, was the one. And luckily she accepted me, because she didn't know me from Adam when I walked in. And I said, I've just moved from France. I bought this horse in a field in France, and he's really good. You take care of him and take your time. And she went, oh, OK.
But she's glad she did.
And I thought, oh, she's accepted me. And, you know, that's great. Yeah, and the rest is history. But they all thought I was bonkers when I walked in that yard and handed this horse over. Funny, Philip Mitchell, the old Epsom trainer, he brought him up for me in his lorry, and Yeah, it was a nice moment.
What does the future of your operation look like then? Because it sounds like this is a hobby and it's a passion, but it sounds like there's growth there. You are. This is your life, right? This is your.
Yeah, it's my life. Yeah, and my purpose is to. I do want to get this message across, and I do want. I think it's a win-win situation. If there's some untapped potential within a racehorse, the horse is going to be better off. The owners are going to be happier. The trainers are going to be happier because they get more improvement out of their horses. And ultimately, for me, the horse has a better life when it's racing, and it's cared for better afterwards. It's all about understanding and compassion, which is surely what all of our lives are about.
Could all do with a bit more of that, couldn't we? You're staying here.
All right, okay.
And we're going to take a little pause, and then we'll welcome Harry and Lee back in with us.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.